There is growing recognition of the relevance of socio-economic rights to ensuring pro-poor, inclusive, and sustainable development. The Constitution of Zimbabwe guarantees socio-economic rights for all citizens, provides a justiciable Declaration of Rights, commonly known as the Bill of Rights. However, in practice, the enjoyment of these rights remain far-fetched and in most cases regressive. With the insurgence of the COVID-19 pandemic, multitudes have been made subject to several demises, with focus by relevant authorities having been arguably shifted towards the mitigation of the virus. The Labour and Economic Development Research Institute of Zimbabwe, Ledriz, published a booklet titled A Situational Analysis of Socio-Economic Rights in Zimbabwe from 1980 to 2018. The book examines basic socio-economic rights as laid out in the Constitution of Zimbabwe and chronicles major developments that have affected the enjoyment of 7 fundamental rights, namely the right to education, health, food and food security, decent work, housing, water and sanitation, and a healthy environment. The book has been distributed to all public universities in Zimbabwe and is used by many human rights advocates.
No price for guessing that today we are in Masvingo. We are going to have a town hall meeting where the residents of Masvingo are going to meet with their local leaders, the MPs, the councillors, and generally discuss about issues that are affecting progressive realization of socio-economic rights.
The reason why we are excited or we are very grateful of the project itself is that it has helped us to reach out to various communities. It has helped us to reach out to our members in various cities because we have been holding town halls in various areas, various cities, so that our members or the communities are empowered in terms of what exactly are their rights. People will be able to demand what they know. And we are providing that information with the CEADZ project. We are providing that information. People are supposed to know that they've got a right to housing, they've got a right to education, they've got the right to water, various socio-economic rights. Other people might not be aware of that, so people will be able to be empowered and have that knowledge, so that when they engage authorities that are responsible for policy making, those people are well informed. We had instances where portfolio committees or parliamentary committees go around different areas to seek guidance from ordinary people. What is their view like? And they find a very informed and educated citizenry. And that's the work that the project has managed to do.
Pane matambudziko akasiyana siyana tinosangana nawo se vanhu vanogara mumasvingo. Ngataura issue yemvura. Mvura iri kunetsa yatiri kuwana inouya yakasviba, ine samfani kala, test yacho isiri yatinotarisira, uyezve nguva dzayo dzainouya kana ichinzi yauya inogona kuuya pakati peusiku. Zvinototarisa kuti kune chando kuri kutonhora, plus mabills awo generally anongouya ari too high, considering also kuti mvura yacho inouya maybe once or twice a week.
Sezvo tiri vanhu vanoshanda nyangwe rural council tiri paward 6, chandinoshuva ini kanziri kuti iitire inyaya dzemigwagwa, nokuti munongoziva panofamba munhu uri visually impaired panodawo pakati tsepete, panofambikawo zvakanaka, njirawo dzakanaka, asi patiri manje chinenge chichiri chisango pasati pafambika zvakanaka. Pane makoronga akawanda but asingagoni kuti munhu uri visually impaired garika nazvo.
Matambudziko tinakati one day, especially munyaya dzemvura nesuwa, masuwa pipes anoputika ende mvura saizvozvizvi tiri kuiwana maybe 3 times a week, pamwe tinoishaya.
Kansela kazhinji toziva kuti kansela kana achiwana chigaro anochiwana through kuvhoterwa, achivhoterwa ari patiketi re-a-political party. Kana ari patiketi re-a-political party achingokwana kupinda paukansela ipapo anenge akwikwidzana nevamwe vanhu kana kuti anenge apinda asina amukwikvidza, anotura bhatya raanenge auya akapfeka repolitics riya nepamusana pekuti anenge akumiririra vanhu muconstituency make imomo wakasiyana siyana vari affiliated kuma-political parties akasiyana siyana.
Chekutanga tine mota yatinayo inokwanisa kutakura mabhini nenguva dzese dzakafanira kuti nyanga yedu inge ichigara yakachena. Uyezve tine matoilets edu akanaka atakakwanisa kuvaka sekanzu yenyanga anobatsira community yedu pangave panzvimbo dzinoshandira vanhu vakasiyana siyana, nemisika yatakakwanisa kuvaka parizvino isati yavhura kuti inge ichikwanisa kunge ichishandirwa nevanhu voza isati yapera, but pane mizhinji yacho yatopedza kuvakwa kune vanotengesa zvehembe.
Machallenges atosangana nawo ndekuti mari idzodzo hadzizokwani, asi chido chedu chinenge chiri chekuti titi pesi panenge paonekwa need yeschool inge iri kuvakwa. Saka ndichataura kuward 13 tine primary school iri wako inonzi Nyambarawanda primary school iri kuitwa nekanzo. Hazvisati zvapera hazvo asi pane progress iri kuitika ikoko.
We are here now to bring together all the people that are concerned, all the stakeholders, the community, the councillors, the MPs, so that all these issues can be discussed and tackled with all of the stakeholders in one place.
My sources of income yekutanga chayo is from you, my residents. Ndizo ndiro benki hombe re-council. Ndizo mari inobva kuma residents. Ndizo kuma ratepayers. Ndimi andidi ndo source hombe ye-income kuma councils. Yechipiri kune inobva iye zvinezvi pakatanga inonzi devolution andidi yatinoti IGFT, intergovernmental fiscal transfer. Mari dzakaiswa dzedevolution dzinounza dzokuti dziitwe madevelopments kuma communities kwedu dziri kuburikidza nekanzo anditi.
Chinhu chikuru chatonyanya kuda kuita is improvement of communication between ma-residents nema-service providers. Atiroti ma-service providers vekutanga tine council, vechi-2 tine zinwa, vechi-3 tine ku-health, vechi-4 tine ma-security sector, security system yedu.
Program yatonyanya kuti dai yaiswa attention as early as yesterday inawo yemvura, mvura yokunwa. Ma-communities kana ma-leadership at district level vanoita misjudge ward 22 vari kuti sokuti ine marwizi akati wandei anopfuura nemairi, saka maybe vane clean water yekunwa, but challenge yatinayo ndeye clean water. Hatina mvura yakachena yokunwaba because rwizi ruhombe runopfuura nepakati pewadi ndo rwaane urban, futi ndo runogezerwa navanhu vari muurban, ndo runodini, saka mvura yacho haisiri clean kuti vanhu vanweba.
Mashandiro atiri kuita navo ari bit trick nenyaya yekuti kanzo painoita zvinhu zvayo most of the time they don't invite us. Zvinhu zvedu tinozoita zvekutozozviona it's either ma-WhatsApp groups kuti kwakuitwa chakati or motozosangana nema-vendors nevanhu vanoita zvekutengesa vakutanga kutaura ma-complaints tavictimizwa here and there, something like that.
The residents need roads. They need roads. And they also need flea markets, the areas to operate like vendors. Of course, I want to thank the council for constructing some of the flea markets, Nyamuka 1 there. Okay, fine. I want to thank them for doing that, but they are taking long to open it for the people. The people now want to utilize those facilities.
Vamwe vanhu vanogona kunge vari part of the community asi participation inonetsa nekuti kukanzi vidhiko kubvira pakukonstitutwa kwayo kana ndichigara pachikoro handidzi ndiri mushandi ndinogara pachikoro asi ndiri kuafecta nezviri kuitika musociety iyoyo contribution yangu inogona kunetsa nekuti pavidhiko parinoitwa rinodaidzirwa pamwe kudhibha rotsarwa masabhuku nevanhu vari muvhileji imomo ini ndogara pachikoro cheipapo ndongotitwawo sekuti ava maworking class.
Economic literacy training programs were held throughout the country to improve civic engagement and participation of economic governance and development processes in Zimbabwe, targeting people with disabilities, women, youths, journalists, workers, civil society, and people operating in the informal economy. The exercise enlightened and empowered citizens on socio-economic rights so that they can proactively engage the policymakers at all levels, from district to national, for their progressive realization. In addition to that, Ledriz organized town hall meetings across the country that brought together citizens, residents, civil society, community-based organizations, and the local leadership, councillors, MPs. These town hall meetings provided an opportunity for the local leadership to engage with the citizens over the state of service delivery and helped to promote transparency, accountability, correlation, and participation, thereby enhancing local governance and sustainable development.
Much of what we do is something which is humanitarian, so we want to engage just to complement the government efforts with other stakeholders, even with other government departments. So I think this platform is quite okay and quite useful because we are now able to engage with the other stakeholders, other departments. It has opened up an opportunity for us to engage. So I think it's quite useful and quite helpful.
Ndadzidza nekunzwa zvakawanda ende ndanyatsonzwisisa kuti vagari sevagari tine mibvunzo yakawanda yanga ichishayikwa kuti yovhunzirwa papi yopindurwa papi. Ndaona kuma residents kune nyaya dzakawanda dzakaita seyabuda yekuti vari kutadza kunzwisisa kuti sei service delivery isipo, but ndaona kuti program yanga iripo nhasi yabatsira kuti maresidents ndofunga vanga vachivamiririra vanga varipo vakakwanisa kutakura zvanga zviri pano vachinozvifidha kune vasara kudzimba. Ndinoona vanhu vachabatsirika, maresidents achabatsirika.
Kuti tikunde, kuti tibude, pane need yekudzidzisana isu sevagari kana kuti inisa councillor nema fellow residents andinoita represent. Panda kuti tidzidzisane kuti wongo service delivery aipo, asi chinoita kuti service delivery iuye iwepo hunge ini ndaitawo party yangu, ende party inoitwa nenzira dzakasiyana siyana. Council is not a profit making organization. Zvaisiri a profit making organization inotodawo kusupportwa, inotodawo kufundwa, and that funding inofanira kubva matiri isu vagari, because ndisu vanhu vari kugara munzvimbo, ndisu vanhu vari kuda zvinhu izvozvo.
Pane nzvimbo isiri kushandiswa panguva ino handiti. Saka achifunga kuti council vototora advantage of that, vochigadzirisa face yenhingi yenzvimbo iyoyo iratidzike. Tikaisa maybe better structure, vanhu vanofarira kuti vatengesere zvinhu zvavo ipapo, but zvazvakaita izvezvi pakango hapasi kuradzika kuattracta vanhu.
Ndaifunga kuti seguta maifanira kuva nenzvimbo yamuno ashwa security kumurimi, kuti vanhu vakanga vachinge varima magudzi avo vasikowana pekusikotengesera vari, pekuhodhesa vari, vasingatambudziki kutya kubirwa kana kutya kuti zvinoparadzwa nemamiriro ekunze.
Ndakaona vanhukadzi vachimbunyikidzwa, regai ndimboti kwira mudzimai kwira. Ndinonzwa kurwadziwa nekuti pamuno muchikwira mudzimai kwira, you are expecting kukwira achiitawo zvimwe zvinhu zvinooneka. Ndo vanhu vacho 3/4 dziri kutengesa mustreet vakadzi. Vari mustreet kudaro ari kunobatwa nemunhurume ane bhasikoro rake uya akapfeka chipipi chake, kamubatirwo kacho, kamubatirwo vakadhakwawo nekitoko dzavo, kupushwa zvimwe zvichidonha, chimwe chacho chazonongowa neumwe azochiona hazvina mweroba. Handizivi kuti mukuru weofisi iyo yemapurisa emuno ari kuzviziva here kuti mapurisa ake ndo zvaari kuita.
For the numerous meetings which I have attended with Ledriz, I want to say that I'm very excited. It provided an opportunity to interface with the various stakeholders, residents, labor movement members, and also the duty bearers, who happens to be the councillors and the mayors. In these interactions, we managed to actually find, we found each other, and sometimes we actually showed them some areas where they went wrong, and they also showed us some of the areas where we felt that they were wrong and yet they were correct. But in a nutshell, it provided an opportunity of being stakeholders as opposed to be antagonists.
So we realized that issues of economic rights and development in general were not receiving enough attention in media. So we identified journalists as another critical stakeholder that we could work with in advancing our mandate of fostering progressive realization of socio-economic rights.
When issues to do with the economy are being discussed, for many it's like a tired or a no-go area. Why? Because there are a lot of figures that are running around. There's a lot of jargon, like what I've said, that are being thrown here and there. So for the average or the common person, the common man, it's something that is too hard to digest. So the seminars that we have conducted with Ledriz, with their researchers and economists, they've been able to simplify these elements and trying to paint, to put the human face in the figures that we hear the finance ministers talking about, or other government officials talking about. So you are able to put the human face on the figures.
As the media, I think we have benefited a lot from the Ledriz programs that have come through to give us a technical understanding, to explain in plain and simple language what the figures and numbers that are presented in, for example, the national budget, what do they mean in relation to the expectations of the people.
So we are very, very grateful. Would have loved to have more and more of this interaction with communities, members, various players. It can be people in the informal economy, people working in the NGOs, so that they can then engage policymakers from an informed position. We want to influence policy formulation in the coming future when we engage government, and that's precisely the point why we are so excited about this project we call CEADZ.
Let's change our attitude. So nambodala zvezvo tinotanga nesu tisati taenda kunonongedzera nhingi. Handizivi vanoenda zvandikutaura izvi vanozoona.
We also identified the universities as a key institute, and we rolled out public lectures across the country where the program was teaching or enlightening students on alternative macroeconomic development frameworks.
The objective of this meeting is to look at, now that we seem to have passed through first wave, second wave, how can we emerge from this COVID-19 in terms of the economic fortunes of young people with disabilities? That's the first thing. The second thing is also perhaps sharing some of the challenges that we might have faced because of these lockdowns.
Self-delivered these days is a difficult issue. It's very difficult to perform because the resources are too scarce. But we have been able to interact with the people and get their views, get what they want, what they expect, and then we have been explaining to them our shortfalls, our hardships, and we had a lot of assistance from Ledriz, this branch, CEADZ. We actually mobilizing people and educating people what to expect and what's feasible from the MP and our local councillors.
Ini kwandiri zvandichenjera nokuti ndakasvika pakunyatsonzwisisa chinonzi economy munyika chii, tichitarisa zvinhu zvinoaffecta economy kana kuti pamabalances kuti sei economy yedu ichimbodzika kana kuti ichikwira. Ndikasvika futi pakuzvinzwisisa kuti pane true avanoti madual system ayaya nemusiyano wazvona, zvakandibatsirawo futi kuti inini as an informal sector ndine big role to play as far as the economy part is concerned.
Yeah, zvinhu zvachinja because sema-residents takukwanisawo kunyorawo zvichemo zvedu toendesawo kucouncil, takukwanisawo kuatenda ma-meetings anodedzerwa na-MP because we thought ma-residents they thought kuti i-MP kana ari MP is MP weparty yake, but takadzidza kuti MP kana ari MP is the MP of the whole town Chinwe residents. Hazvina basa nepolitics, saka kubva patikaita ma-workshop yayo zvabatsira especially madzimai. Takukwanisa kuendawo kukanzuri tichipawo zvichemo zvedu because we are the more vulnerable. Ndisi tinosangana nema-challenges iji mvura chichi, saka zvachinja.
The town hall meetings which we were doing, it was bringing in a lot of stakeholders. Besides bringing in those who are affiliated to the CTU, but it could also bring those from the CSOs, it would also bring those from the political parties, it would also bring those from the churches and the resident associations. Here in Chinwe we've got 2 of them, and we're inviting everyone. So it was a good platform whereby it was a good platform for us to interact as a community.
Ya pane shanduko yakanyanyisa pakuuya kwakaita organization munharaunda yeChinwe. Why? Because vanhu vazhinji when they vote a person into office as a councillor vane my expectations vanonga vachitarisira, vamwe vanonga vachitarisira kuti tichazobatsirwa kuti these issues tichabatsirwa parufu, tichazoitiswa mumabasa, tichazoitwa sei. But patakatanga kuita ma-interactions aya nevanhu vakava ne-know-how yokuziva kuti what is the main aim yavanovhotera munhu, chii chavanomboita kuti pavanenge vachienda kunoisa x yavo zvinenge zvichimborevei, munhu iyeye anovabatsirei. Saka from those meetings dzataiita idzodzo ma-whole meetings iwawa vanhu vaziva zvakaita zvakare kuti vanhu vazive ma-channels ekutevera kuti kana ndakaita dambudziko handingoendi kana kuti ngoti dambudziko rangu ndingochema ndirumba. Vakuziva kuti no, councillor is the bridge between the residents and the council, whereby pakaita dambudziko wakaenda wakaudza councillor no, kuma area kwangu hakusi kubuda mvura, councillor ndiye anosvika kucouncil osvika kutaura naengineer no inharaunda yandinogara panhamba yakati, then the plumbing department roenda roita go in to look into the problem.
Since the advent of the town hall meetings, there's been that improvement. These town hall meetings through Ledriz, they came in as a mediator. We were able to engage with the local authorities at that level, and that relationship has continued over the past 2 years. In terms of service delivery, there were issues that we pointed out during those platforms. I can say there's been improvement in refuse collection. We even pointed out at one of those meetings that the council should supply residents with polythene bags for refuse collection, and that has been done since the beginning of the year. There are certain parts of the town that have been supplied with polythene bags to collect refuse from.
I've seen numerous changes in the delivery system, engagement, even the feedbacks from the city fathers. It has actually improved a lot, and over and above, I noticed that even those councillors, some of the councillors were actually assisted in how to articulate issues of their parameters as councillors. Some to me appeared not to be conversant of what they were expected of themselves. And after having gone through the meetings, the town meetings, I've seen a lot of change in them, in the way of how they used to interact vis-a-vis how they are interacting now with residents in Chinhoyi.
What I can say is that we had an opportunity and privilege that as a region, we had our fellow colleagues from Ledriz who came to us with a program that we think it was very much worth to be part. And that program mainly, it was just bringing different stakeholders, mainly the community leaders, the resident association, you talk of councillors, MPs, senators. The whole idea was to try and bring a culture of saying we need to work together in terms of development issues. And to a larger extent, it really assisted us a lot, because before then, we have a situation whereby when you call the councillor to come and interact with, they'll tell you that no, they don't have their biz, or they say no, they've got no business with possible city or resident association. You call an MP, they'll be having excuses. But now on, after that interaction whereby all stakeholders were brought together, we are seeing a different attitude now. You call a councillor, you call an MP for any discussion, for interaction. They are so cooperative. So we are saying to us that was very great.
I would like to think things are changing, although not at the pace that maybe we would anticipate. In terms of dissemination of information of just people, teaching people how to wear their masks, teaching people how to sanitize, teaching people just to maintain social distancing, you'll find that we still have a bit of people who are still not adhering. And I think some people, but I think now people are now able to speak out, to actually say to someone, do you realize that you're not wearing a mask? May you please put on your mask. I think people now are more bold enough to actually push for such things, for such measures, because they have been told the need why we need to do such things. So I think people are now more vocal.
When you then roll out programs like that, the one that I'm talking about, this is you need to sustain it, and you sustain it by resources. So what is needed is we are appealing to those who can assist to make sure that they make this a reality. Resources are needed for Ledriz to be able to go to the remote areas, to go to the outlying places, to go to the marginalized areas. But we are very comfortable with the capacity that the institute has. I think they are doing a great work. It's only that we have to sustain and maintain that, and we can only do that by making sure that we oil the machine. We call it an oiled machine, Ledriz, when they are able then to provide these services well funded. So the funding, I can repeat it time and again. We want that funding so that they are able then to fulfill the mandate that the ZCTU provides to this institute.
Social dialogue plays a significant role in designing policies to promote social justice, sustainability development, and support other interventions by governments to protect jobs and incomes.